Shekhar, welcome back. The Druzhba-Dosti flag is flying high. And this week, the time-tested Indo-Russia friendship went a few notches up when President Putin was in New Delhi for almost 2 days. When you look at the entire geopolitical scenario, one realizes how significant and far-reaching this visit has been. Take a look.
A new chapter has been added to India-Russia friendship this week. During President Putin's New Delhi visit, both President Putin and Prime Minister Modi reaffirmed their commitment to the long-lasting relationship. The visit has covered an entire gamut of issues from defense to energy to manpower skilling to fertilizers and health. Every sector has something to look forward to. Even media collaboration, which usually doesn't figure very high during summit-level discussions. While these tangible outcomes have definitely put India-Russia relations on a stronger, firmer footing, the real message is much more resounding. And that message is that under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, India is and will remain strategically autonomous, and India's interests will be the sole guiding force in determining the global dynamics.
So, from defense to trade to media collaboration to fertilizers, health and even manpower sharing, there's a lot we have on the table to talk about. And to take us down this very interesting subject, I have stalwarts here with me on Media Scan this weekend. Let me introduce you to our guests for this evening. I have Malika Pandey with me, a young, energetic activist. She has been part of the BRICS forum related to women's leadership and recently come back from a visit to Moscow. Welcome, Malika. So good to have you.
Thank you so much.
And also with us, Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, Navy veteran, well-known commentator. Namaskar, sir. Jai Hind.
Namaskar. Thank you. Thank you for calling me.
And joining me, Ajai Malhotra, who has served as ambassador to Russia and various parts of the world as an IFS officer. Namaskar, sir. Good to have you.
Invitation.
And Mr. Malhotra, I'll like to come to you first, sir. Ambassador, we'll come to those tangible points of cooperation and discussion that we have just flagged. But more importantly, when we look at the entire geopolitical scenario, the pressures that have been on for about a year, how significant and far-reaching would you assess the importance, the weight of this visit of President Putin?
Well, in one sense, it was a routine visit, the 23rd of a series of annual summits. But the timing and the frame in which it was taking place raised its profile. And you would have seen from the amount of outside interest. I can tell you for myself, I got invitations to come on shows from all kinds of agencies from Japan and UK, etc. So hugely important in that sense, and packed with symbolism and also with substance. So a very important visit in my viewpoint.
So we understand the interest that there may be in India, of course, and also maybe the subcontinent. But why do you think there is so much curiosity in countries like Japan and the Western nations, European countries? I mean, what is the message really here?
Well, India is a re-emerging power, and we are probably doing the best out of all the major powers in the world at the moment in terms of our GDP growth, etc. And Russia too is trying to get out of the situation it has in Ukraine and is looking for a peace process with USA. So when the Russian president comes to India, that's a very important movement for everyone. Does it mean there's a churning underway, or what are the implications? So everyone wants to know what is happening and what will the outcome be.
Yes. So please hold your thought, Ambassador. I want to bring in Admiral Sinha here and get an idea of, you know, what were the pre-discussions before the visit on how far this visit will go as far as defense cooperation is concerned, and whether all or at least many of those, if I may say, those possibilities we have been able to achieve, and what is left to be, what is more on the cards. Admiral Sinha, as a veteran, as a person who understands defense nitty-gritties, How satisfied would you be with this visit of President Putin?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's quite satisfying, as Ambassador Malhotra said. Nice to be with him on a panel. We together commissioned a ship in Kaliningrad. So, why I'm saying it is important is that we have been having lot of problem with the logistic support of the existing equipment, the existing platforms. Now, there is an agreement that there will be joint manufacturing in India of the spare parts, so that the availability of our weapon platforms become that much better. Second important thing is that now there is a talk about co-research, co-development, co-manufacturing. So, these three are extremely important, particularly when it comes to defense. But I must take you to the other agreements which have taken place. Defense things are generally hidden between lines, and they are not said in so many words. For example, if you go to science and technology roadmap, which is innovation and other cooperation, it talks about two countries to address social challenges, confirm and their interest, further developing cooperation in sphere of digital technology, including those related to information protection, security of critical infrastructure, law enforcement. So, we are actually talking about most of these things are cyber security and also talking about artificial intelligence. These are basically dual use technologies. While there is much much use in the civil life, so it is in the military life. Third thing, now that you are talking about military, again dual use. Coming back to operation, to space operation, the cooperation in space, enhanced partnership, these two countries are now going to do lot of research. Well, it says exploratory in beyond the universe that we know, but the important thing is launching of satellites. We are very much short, and Russians possibly even they can use our facilities to launch the satellite, so that the trade gap can be reduced a little bit. So, I think this is very important. China, as you know, that has got almost 600 satellites. Last year alone they have launched about 260 plus, out of which 69 satellites are that intelligence and surveillance and reconnaissance, which helped the Pakistanis during the last war. So, we need to get to a level where our satellite navigation, which will be provided by these satellites, we already have our, but we require to have some more standby. So, I would say in all, fair amount of forward looking and lot of scope for stretching it to something more.
So, that is all about cooperation in defense, I mean among other things, inter alia if we may say, which includes space and satellite, etc. But Admiral, very quickly, just one more point. There were some big ticket purchases that were being written about by experts, and we were also talking about it. Where do you think we stand on that now?
You're right. I also gathered it from the newspapers and all. But till that happens, it's very difficult to say that it is done. Right. Normally, you will find that these are doables. These are new areas. Let's not forget that this whole meeting, like Ambassador said, it is routine. Basically, to take the economic route and increase the trade facilitation, cooperation, and that like you got the INSTC, the International North-South Trade Corridor. Now, Russia wants to use it quite frequently, but the problem is that one of the components is Iran. If Iran comes under some kind of sanction, then we will have difficulty. So, we will have to find another route. Now, what is the other route? We have already set up a Madras, rather Chennai, Vladivostok Maritime Route.
Yes.
And now that is going to be activated. Russia is also going to help us in building ships, which will happen in our shipyards. New shipyards are being created, and opening of the Arctic route, which is the northern sea route. We also going to buy from them, the icebreaker, and use that area for all our trade to. Right now, trade to Russia will increase, because you are coming out of Indian Ocean and getting into South China Sea straight to Vladivostok.
Yes, and I think that is why the Arctic route, the whole discussion over Arctic route has it has attracted a lot of curiosity among people from various sectors. But since you mentioned about trade, Admiral, I want to bring in Ms. Pandey here, and she has represented through the BRICS, the Women's Leadership Forum, and just back from Moscow very recently. I want to ask her, since you are interested in trade issues, if there was one overarching theme of this entire visit of the president. It was on trade. And you know, currently I think we stand somewhere between 65 to 70 billion dollars.
Yes.
But the target is to take it to 100 billion.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is an ambitious target in a space of just about 5 years. How do you look at all those various topics of collaboration in the trade sphere?
I personally, thank you very much for the question. I personally think that we are targeting $100 billion annually. And yesterday, 2030 economic cooperation roadmap was, it was laid down between both the countries, which is a landmark decision in which different outcomes, as Ambassador and Admiral, both of them discussed. I personally think that India and Russia don't share a transactional relationship, they share a civilizational relationship. So we don't have to advertise a lot about India and Russia relationship. I mean, it's a historic relationship that we share with them. But these outcomes that we've seen coming, I mean, both of them, they've focused on a lot of autonomy. Both of them have focused on, you see, there's a lot of balance now in both the parties. Earlier we saw, historically we saw that Russia, we used to import a lot of things from Russia. But India has now advocated that Russia should also import from India. Now,
and may I add, Ms. Pandey, that very recent, just before the president's visit, the Kremlin spokesman, Dmitry Peskov,
yes,
when he was addressing online the Indian media, he made it very categorically. He said that we want to increase imports from India to Russia to a very high level. So clearly their view is also, you know, sort of getting updated.
And you see there's a lot of collaboration in agriculture and marine exports. So they are going to take a lot of our products. And I used to be with the Ministry of Fisheries. So under the leadership of the Prime Minister, if you've seen our fish production, we are the second largest producer of fish. We are the largest exporter of shrimp as well. We are also, annually it is increasing by 11%. So today our seafood export is more than 600 crores. So even because of the global turbulence and the US tariffs that have hit,
and I think like some other countries, the Russians love fish.
Russians they love their caviar. So they love their caviar, definitely. And you know, because of the US tariffs also, which are there, I think Russians importing fish and agriculture commodities from India, it will really help us to get back.
Wonderful.
In the game.
Thank you for putting it so clearly, Malika. But allow me to come back to Ambassador Malhotra here. Sir, there is one aspect of this visit which I would say is clearly, if not completely new, it has drawn a lot of attention, and our viewers will be curious to know what exactly this labor, the whole labor mobility thing really signifies, and why is it important for people-to-people contact between the two nations?
Well, you know, we have signed two agreements.
Yes.
One is, well, it's called temporary labor activity, but really it is about manpower going from India to Russia. And it includes all kinds. It's not merely, we're talking here of skilled labor, not manual labor. So we're talking of, for example, IT specialists, engineers, and other skills, construction workers, people who have particular skills. And so this regulates the mobility of skilled workers to give them proper employment opportunities. Now, Russia has a demand at the moment for such skilled personnel, so they're very happy to have them. They would trust Indians much more, and they get on much more with Indians. Certainly not with the Europeans now, given the geopolitical situation there. And also not so much with their neighbor China, who they're concerned about the spread of Chinese migrants coming across and workers coming across into the underpopulated parts of Siberia and the maritime territory. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is there's also some irregular migration that takes place.
Yes.
That has increased of late. So there's an agreement also on that. So we're looking at it as a whole. You know, we take in people, but we also combat irregular migration. And that is through strengthening our joint efforts against such illegal migration. There are people who have bought tourist tickets and, gone there and then disappeared up there.
Yes.
This has been, unfortunately, in some countries, some Indians have tended to do that. And so this is obviously not particularly liked by the country concerned. So just to make sure that the news that they want skilled migrants may not lead to a flood of people coming there with wrong intentions, has given us the requirement, and we have agreed on the text of that. So going ahead, I think these two areas have great prospects. And I think these agreements will be fleshed out more as things proceed.
Yes, so basically encourage and incentivize the legal routes of migration through skilled technicians, personnel and professionals, and that way discourage the illegal route, because it leads to so much suffering and tensions with the host country, etc.
Indeed, because what we want is safe and structured migration. We want our nationals there to feel, at home, remit their funds to their families who they will have to look after, come back for their holidays and go back again to continue with their work. And so these agreements put it in place.
Yes, legally and with dignity. So just coming back to Admiral Sinha here, sir, there is always that elephant in the room. I don't mean China, which is usually the indication. I mean terror. Russia has gone through a spate of terror attacks, not very recently, but they have. And we, of course, are always the target of our Western neighbor. Nowadays, there are threats from the Eastern neighbor also. But coming to this joint statement, you must have heard both the leaders give very categorical statements on how to combat terror and how we can have a joint fight on that. So just a quick look on that, if you please.
This is quite an important agreement that we have reached. When you say counter-terrorism, first thing is, during the Pahalgam attack, Russia made a statement that they stand, they are with the country in all the anti-terror activity. But what is more important is that taking this issue right up to United Nations, and there naming and shaming these people, and the FTFA, this is one this is one place where Russia can be of very big help, because China has always been scuttling it, and you have another permanent member of the Security Council who is going to back it, then you will find that China will have little low leverage. So this is because India has been saying there should be absolutely concerted effort against the spreading of terrorism, terror technology, Al Qaeda, ISIS, Daesh. So both sides have prime responsibility basically to competent authorities combating the terrorism. So I also feel that at some point in time, the information exchange on the terror hubs, the terrorist conversation, both these countries will do it together. We are doing it already. We are also sharing with the US. Nothing wrong in that. I am sure that Russia, with its very advanced electronic listening post and equipment, and full handle on, by and large, full handle on Afghanistan based terror groups, they will be able to good partners.
We have very little time left on the show actually. So we'll take these two comments from both the leaders from Friday's summit, and then we'll just have time enough for perhaps a quick question. Do listen in.
बिजनेस हो या डिप्लोमेसी, किसी भी साझेदारी की नींव आपसी विश्वास है। भारत रूस संबंधों की सबसे बड़ी शक्ति यही विश्वास है। ये हमारे साझे प्रयासों को दिशा भी देता है और गति भी देता है। यही वह लॉन्च पैड है जो हमें नए सपनों, नई आकांक्षाओं की उड़ान भरने के लिए प्रेरित करता है। पिछले 8 दशकों में विश्व में अनेक उतार चढ़ाव आए हैं। मानवता को अनेक चुनौतियों और संकटों से गुजरना पड़ा है, और इन सब के बीच भी भारत रूस मित्रता एक ध्रुव तारे की तरह बनी रही है। परस्पर सम्मान और गहरे विश्वास पर टिके ये संबंध समय की हर कसौटी पर हमेशा खरे उतरे हैं।
In the joint statement that we've adopted with Mr. Modi, we've delineated the priority objectives on the further reinforcements of our ties in the politics and security, economy, trade, in humanitarian and cultural spheres. As you saw for yourself, we have signed an impressive package of intergovernmental, interagency and corporate agreements. Many of those agreements are intended to broaden the economic cooperation between Russia and India. And this is entirely natural due to the fact that our countries are important partners of one another in trade, investment and technologies.
Today, the Indian economy is one of the fastest growing in the world. Figures speak for themselves. Over a decade, the GDP of the country has almost doubled, and in terms of the purchasing power parity, it increased by 2.5 times. Thanks to the sound economic policy and such landmark initiatives by Prime Minister Modi as Make in India program, India is strengthening its technological sovereignty. The Indian processing and light industry, IT sector and pharmaceuticals take leading positions in the world.
So as the Prime Minister said, beyond all the collaborations and agreements and MoUs, the underlying theme of this friendship is trust, and that was adequately highlighted by both the leaders in fact. Last question comes to you, Malika, very quickly. There is one aspect of this, the summit level talks, which usually do not figure at such a level, commonly, and that is collaboration in the media. Yesterday, we saw at least 5 MoUs being signed between the two countries for collaboration in various genres of media. Now, the question arises, why is such agreement, such collaboration with the media important for the two countries? How can it help people-to-people ties? What is your perspective, since you've just come back from Moscow, so you would have seen things for yourself?
First of all, congratulations to the entire Prasar Bharati teams. I mean, 5 MoUs in a row. That's huge. And this has never happened before. So it's a landmark decision for sure. And I personally think that media is a soft power influence, definitely. And would love to share something personal. When I went to Moscow and for BRICS, my parents, a lot of my relatives called my parents and they were like, why are you sending her to a war-torn country? And there's food shortage, there's no electricity. Some relatives also advised to carry a candle. But because of the narratives which are running in the entire media, they're just plastered by, influenced by many countries. When I went there, everything was normal. Everything was normal. So it is so important that this is such a strategic move between both the countries, because the narratives building is the most important thing, and that is done by the media. So yes, it's this decision is a landmark decision for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just a quick take, Ambassador Malhotra. Sir, this whole fog narrative, which is usually associated with war, but these days every day is a war zone. So do you think these collaborations with the media of the two countries can help clear a lot of misgivings and misleading narrative that is going on, mostly peddled by the West? Can it help people, India and Russia, people to understand each other better?
Absolutely, because we unfortunately have not had loud and clear the voice of Russia giving their view of what is happening. And now I'm very happy that yesterday we had, for example, the launch of a new channel called RT India, and which will find partners up here. And so beyond our own channels, it is good for them to come in and also see what needs to be done. The Indian people need to have access to both sides of the story rather than fall for fake news, which is coming only from one side. So personally, I'm very happy that this has happened. In the past, when we used to tell them, the Russians say, oh, no need, people will figure out the facts. But now I think they've understood that there's so much fake news out there that they have to push the facts as known to them and let others make the judgment. So it's a great, all those MOUs and agreements are a very positive step in the right direction.
Yes, as you said, sir, it is true that often we think that, people will finally be able to filter the facts. But when there is so much bombardment going on, kind of a carpet bombing of fake news, people do get to, they get influenced, and sometimes it can create very unwanted, unnecessary situations. So yes, the collaboration between the medias of the two countries is a great welcome step. And viewers, get ready to see lot of more content from Russia on Indian platforms and vice versa for the Russian people. But gentlemen, Malika, we are sorry, that's all the time we had on this episode of Media Scan. Thank you very much, Ambassador Malhotra, Admiral Sinha and Malika. So good to have you. Thank you everyone. Do join us next week for another episode of Media Scan. Till then, namaskar.